RCMP, assault and murder causes mental illness. Emergency room staff did not witness assault. I did not receive medical assistance for pelvis fracture for 2 days. ER staff printed RCMP lies. The RCMP will not prove. Did not present to Crown Counsel, who gave my firearms back when she heard what was going on behind her back. Dr. Witten diagnosis pelvis fracture, causing permanent injury, ending my career, as delusional paranoid on disability forms. First appearance of diagnosis. Dr. Slatnick reprints RCMP lies and then denies medical assistance for spine injury. Now, I want to tell you how I am proving police corruption. Case parameter. Human Rights Commission file number I-1800485. RCMP murder Ryan Snowpeck, 09. RCMP weaponized assault on Sean Hills, 09. RCMP corpse parade of Ryan Snowpeck in front of our children, 09. RCMP assault of mother, father, and uncle in front of child and playdate. Court documented, mid-1980s, all of this in Cranbrook. File number I-1800485, January 1st, 2018. First letter to Human Rights Commission. In July 09, I was assaulted by 4 RCMP, who fractured my pelvis, then forced me to walk on the injury in the emergency room, Cranbrook, BC. I was never charged or convicted of anything. Fast forward December 2017. 100 disability checks received for mental illness because I survived assault and torture. I witnessed the assault of my parents and uncle as a child. Psychological terrorism equals lifelong trauma. After the RCMP murdered my children's uncle by putting him in a cage to bleed to death, they put his body on display in front of my children while making their brain-damaged mother remove him from life support before we were allowed to call their parents. Psychological terrorism equals lifelong trauma in my children. January 1st, 09. Apparently, something broke in my mind and my back. My family has never received any justice of any kind for the crimes committed against us by the RCMP. Intent follows the act and is defined by the result. Perverting justice to protect criminals and defraud taxpayers is the new order, and people think I'm crazy. Taxpayers pay for my existence. Sean Hills, bondable, red seal. Please reply so I can tell my grandson how to plan his future. He is the only one untouched by RCMP violence so far. I will not lie to him by allowing him to believe Canada is a safe place. On my life and freedom, this is the uncontestable truth. P.O. Box 634, VOH 1JO, Greenwood, BC. So, while waiting for a reply from multiple government agencies, I learned on CBC radio that the government was attempting to associate the mentally ill with violent criminals and remove their right to own firearms, right after dismissing an RCMP commissioner. This directly violates my civil and human rights. So, I wrote a second letter to Human Rights Commission describing the stench and stain government was accumulating by doing turd ballet in the RCMP toilet. File number I1800485, April 1st, 2018. To Human Rights Canada. Ask the last 2 RCMP commissioners who they prefer, me out deer hunting or me looking for justice with a pen. The true threat RCMP violence is mechanism of injury, responsible for mental illness, disability. Do you intend to use fear of retaliation used to confiscate lawful property because of disability RCMP are responsible for? Vicious circle. The only way out is accountability. If I am guilty of something, it is time for you to prove it. I am still waiting for justice that I bought and paid for through tax. I wrote the first letter to protect disability status from social workers without MD or authority. P.S. Where do you want the 8 years of rope the RCMP have given me to hang myself? I am sick and tired of packing their shit. Sean Hills. So, to summarize, the Liberal government has done a waffle flip out of the RCMP toilet and flushed the head turd, their commissioner of RCMP, for the 2nd time, in a timeline I am writing to address their actions. Now, we contacted multiple agencies and received 2 disclaimers of responsibility because of mandate. The Ombudsperson of BC and the Human Rights Commission. The Office of the Ombudsperson, BC's independent voice for fairness. February 15th, 2018. File 18-163780. Dear Mr. Hills, we have received your correspondence on February 14th, 2018, in which you raise concerns about the RCMP. Section 72 of the Police Act prevents the Ombudsperson from investigating authorities established under that Act, including police forces and police boards. We therefore are not able to pursue your concerns. The Civilian Review and Complaints Commission for the RCMP will respond to complaints about the conduct of members of the RCMP and may be contacted at 102-7337 137th Street, Surrey, BC, V3W1A4. Now, we sent letters to that address. They were returned with a stamp saying wrong address. Canadian Human Rights Commission, June 6, 2018. File number I1800485. We have carefully reviewed your correspondence, and it does not appear that the issues you raise are linked to a ground in the Act. As a result, the Commission is not the appropriate organization to deal with this matter. Yours sincerely, Lois Chamberlain, Human Rights Officer. Now, I'm going to read Sean's 3rd letter to Human Rights, my 1st letter to Human Rights, and some documentation from the first engagement. File number I1800485, July 1st, 2018. Canadian Human Rights. When government condones police assault and murder, then demands under threat of punitive action their victims continue to pay the hand that decimates them, does it constitute tyranny? The next time I receive demands for tax, I will forward this request, to you and ask again. 9 years of waiting for justice I bought and paid for through tax. and will be denied forever. If you think this issue is the providence or domain of another office in this blatantly corrupt country, by all means, forward it to them. I believe knowledge of a crime obligates someone in a position like yours to do something about it. Thank you for the sniveling dodge my grandson is sure to enjoy. My wife told me if I asked for help, it would happen. I told her not a chance in hell. Bet settled, Sean Hills. Well, he's got a point there. I did lose that one. Gee, thanks a lot. File number I1800485, July 26, 2018. My name is Ivana Beverly, and I feel the system, social services, is forcing me to divorce my husband to advance in life. If I earn more than $1,000 a month, it is deducted dollar for dollar from his disability check, and I work for free. How is that fair? The earnings restriction is because my husband is on disability from RCMP inflicted injury years before our marriage. I find it offensive, as well as a complete invasion of my privacy, to have to report monthly my life because the RCMP crippled my husband for no reason. Again, years before our marriage. How can our government condone the brutality used by the RCMP? I find it offensive to be condemned without a trial and then denied the opportunity to defend from false accusations from RCMP, social services, and the medical system. So, in what universe is it okay to accuse someone guilty and not hold a trial? How can evidence just go missing? RCMP dash cameras. How does the woman they traumatized minutes before crippling my husband not exist? Is it because the cameras, and let's do the math here, 2 RCMP cars equals 2 dash cams, hold the truth? Cameras that you say don't exist. Where is the honesty? Where is the justice I was told my taxes would buy? The stress is destroying my marriage, my husband's sanity, and my belief and trust in Canada, as well as my own sanity, which, again, violates my human rights. Now, I have here a statement from July 29th, 2009, from Robert Hills. Flagged down by police. I was told we were not allowed near. I said this was Sean's mom and she wanted to see her son. Claire was already out of the car running. I saw Sean lying on the ground, unconscious, and his leg looking broken or dislocated. As Claire was bending to touch Sean, the dog handler approached and said in a loud, sneering voice, "If you'd taught your son to take orders, nothing would have happened." I could tell by his voice and motions that he was lying to cover his ass. Claire touched Sean. He came to. 2 officers began talking to me. 1 officer stood off by himself. The dog handler was on the opposite side of the road, making remarks I couldn't hear, so I began talking with the more civil officers. I heard Sean telling us to get out of there before we got shot. I said it was okay now. I tried to calm Claire. Prefontaine introduced himself and spoke with me a few minutes. The female officer came over. Claire was talking with Sean. The dog handler strolled in a southerly direction to a vehicle. Claire requested I take Sean to the hospital, at which time I was told an ambulance was on its way. He radioed for ETA and said maybe 15 minutes. We waited. The ambulance arrived, and they started moving Sean, who was in extreme pain. They put a neck brace on and tried to lift him from his stomach. Sean cried out, "Don't touch me, don't touch me, it hurts too much." Once they let him go, he screwed up his face, pushed himself off the ground, and rolled on the stretcher himself. He had extreme difficulty moving one leg. I noticed it was no longer dislocated. I don't know when he managed to push the joint back. He was unconscious when we arrived and passed out again when Claire was searching for a blanket. Perhaps this was when he manipulated it back. Note: just prior to this incident, these same 4 officers accosted a neighbor, a devout Christian woman out jogging, with guns pointed at her and orders to get on the ground. They traumatized her. Yes, well, they seem to do that a lot now, don't they? Now, here is a statement from Claire Hills. You have done an admirable job of whitewashing the RCMP's actions and image by twisting lies, half-truths, and misinformation into a credible scenario for anyone not privy to the other half of the story. Sean was never contacted to provide information or discuss his complaint. Witnesses and people involved, other than those supporting RCMP actions, were not consulted, interviewed, or otherwise contacted. You have convicted Sean with lies and collusion of an alleged crime without ever giving him the opportunity to defend himself. This misinformation will follow him for the rest of his life and be assumed to be true. Even a trial by judge or jury offers the person the opportunity to defend their reputation, actions, and decisions. This has never been given consideration. Sean has been accused of assault with no evidence of injury to another person or property. He was accosted while walking barefoot, dressed in summer attire, shorts, t-shirt, and ball cap, holding a coffee mug containing remnants of a coffee he'd just shared at his neighbor's, whom he was returning from. He was beaten and sustained a fractured pelvis from the dislocation of his hip, a laceration to his head, all documented, and injuries not documented at the hospital, but very visible to other hospital personnel and friends and family surrounding him upon his release. So many factors that affected the outcome of this incident were never considered or addressed. Sean has industrial hearing loss, well documented by WCB professionals, that renders him unable to distinguish comprehensible words when there is any background sound or noise. This was the situation for him when he was approached head-on by 2 police cruisers with sirens blaring, 4 armed police officers pointing loaded weapons at him and all shouting at once, a police dog barking and straining at his leash. His immediate reaction from pure fear was to walk to the side of the road, raise his arms in the air in a submissive gesture, and present his back to pose no threat. He sat on the ground. Sean was in this position when Constable Sullivan accosted him. He grabbed Sean's throat, muttering, "I'll kill you," and proceeded to choke him, handcuff him, bash his head on the pavement, and dislocate his hip, all to arrest him. Why? 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 He had committed no crime. The only correspondence I have received in return for 8 months of work represented by this investigation is a confession of guilt in the form of an apology and a disclaimer of responsibility due to mandate. Human Rights Commission says RCMP assault and murder of innocent citizens does not violate our human rights and is none of their business. I have documentation for 2 engagements. Letters to government addressing RCMP assault and murder of my family. I have 2 identical results. 2 RCMP commissioners dismissed. 2 letters of apology from government agencies, or confessions if you prefer. Canadian Human Rights Commission, September 28, 2018, file number I1800485. Dear Sean Hills, I am very sorry about what happened to you. Unfortunately, I must advise you that we are unable to assist you in this matter, as this does not fall within the Commission's mandate. Louise Chamberlain, Human Rights Officer. Well, that's one hell of a delusion. So go ahead and call me crazy and keep sending me disability checks soaked in my family's innocent blood. Nobody will do anything without details. The agencies that committed these acts are in possession of all the details. I do not believe I will ever receive a compensation settlement, so I would like to sell those details for enough money to leave Canada forever. Send offers to P.O. Box 634, Greenwood, BC, VOH 1JO. Offers must reflect loss of wages for life. And please hurry, as I'm going to make a final decision on the 10th anniversary of my assault. If there is lawful reason for the RCMP inflicted death and disability committed on my family, prove it, or keep sending me disability checks soaked in my family's blood. So Canada, do I get to sell my life story and leave? This is all I want. Or do I stay here on welfare parole forever so that your government can hide and profiteer in its employees' crimes through taxation without representation? This stupidity is frozen in time. I cut, polished, and present a thin slice to you. Here's a weapon. I learned it from RCMP as a child. Who's afraid and why? I'm playing a song singing the ballad of our destruction. Boo! Sean Hills. Psychological terrorism. Fear is a weapon, mechanism of implementation. Assault, 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 murder, assault. RCMP.